And so I just don't like that. I mean, bobblehead, I get, but the arm is very unsettling.
The arm's weird.
It's not attached, like you can tell it's not attached to his body over on from the back. Like it just I don't
Is it
like it.
because like of his celly? Like his
Right. He does that whole and his arms all wobbling around and all that. And
is that probably why?
he's Showtime and all, but he's scored an overtime goal against Ottawa. So can we really complain? I can't. You know what I will complain about though, and I really just realized this now, is that they put the trash patch on the bobblehead. Like there has to be some self-awareness in the Detroit organization, right? Because that's such a bad vibe going back to last year and the collapse that really prevented them from making the playoffs. It's like, oh, we're gonna put this literal trash company on your jersey just so you can play like trash for the next 8 games. I'm not a fan. Anyway, you know what I am a fan of? American Hockey League hockey. Welcome to the AHL pre-show for yet another week of the hockiest hockey that it has ever hockeyed.
It's true.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Dee, and I have
That's
a
right.
today, so bear with me.
We'll grind through it. That's what you're here for. But I mean, we got a lot of AHL action to cover here, and both past, present, and future. That's what we do. And I just kind of want to get right on into it, man, because we're not even a month away now from All-Star festivities, and they've named our All-Star teams. Some are All-Star worthy, some are, let's say, honorable mentions, but we'll get into that. I kind of want to just kind of take a look and see who's going to be representing here in Coachella Valley of all places, man. I'm not going to make it this year, and I'm really sad. It's I mean, I got the chance to go to Laval and enjoy the festivities there, where it was like minus 15, which like I get it, and that's kind of part of the charm. But I really kind of wanted to go and like play some golf in Coachella and then go cover hockey. Like that's a dream of mine. Maybe one day. But I kind of want to get into these teams, and we're going to start with our good friends in the Atlantic Division because of course Ethan Bear of the Hershey Bears gets named. And I don't want to say it's a gimmick because Ethan Bear definitely deserves to be there, but I feel like they just went like for name recognition, like Bears, All-Star. It makes sense, right?
Possibly.
I think it makes sense. Alex Belzile makes his third appearance in the All-Star game, huh? I know he's been there with Laval before, but I didn't know third time must be the charm for him.
He's so good.
He is very good. Why did Montreal let him go?
So there's like a whole bunch of youth coming up through whatever. They let go of a lot of really like solid veteran contracts in favor of some younger contracts because they did have like Laval had a whole bunch of veteran players. You have to have a minimum amount of veteran players in the AHL. But they needed to make some room for players like Florian Jacki to come through. And, some younger players, they're looking forward to, like, Cam Fowler, like, getting out of college and everything. They needed to make some room just in case, like, Heineman needed to come down, just in case, like, Hudson needed to come down since they're starting a couple of rookies this season. But so just in case they needed to make some room, they did bring back Laurent Dauphin, which is incredible. So,
well, I still feel like he just did so good down there in Laval, and just it was so ingrained in that community. You could just, I mean, I was only there for the weekend, but you could just feel like how connected he was to that fan base. It certainly has been tough to leave.
Yeah. He's a local boy. He was the captain of the Laval Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's hockey. That is, the nature of the beast. C'est la vie, as they say. But yeah, I don't know, it's just one of those things. It's so like cyclical. Sometimes you have to, make concessions, and in places where like, contracts might be a little heavier than you're really willing to pay, especially if you need to make some room for some younger players. You don't want to have to send somebody like Belluz, who fought his way out of the ECHL, back down to the ECHL in order to make space. So you let him walk so he can get paid and play at the level he should be playing at.
It's the nasty part about the business side of the game, but it is very real. Let's see. Let's take a look who else we got here. Emil Bemstrom from Wilkes-Barre. I remember him from Cleveland. I feel like the beginning of last year he was just tearing it up, but couldn't really find a home in Columbus. So he's kind of made his way over to Wilkes-Barre. Is really making a name for himself. So good for him on getting his first nomination. You got Michael Callahan from the Providence Bruins. Trevor Carrick making his third appearance coming out of Charlotte. And then here's an interesting one. I mean, not super interesting, but Zach Dalpe getting the captaincy of the Eastern Conference, but it doesn't look like he's going to be playing because due to an injury. So it's unfortunate because, he's been an absolute legend here in this league for, it feels like 2 decades now at this point. But he, it just sucks not going to be able to see him in that classic. But got another Bruin and Michael DiPietro in net. Got Dalibor Dvorsky out of Springfield, Ethan Frank, because that's what we need is more Hershey Bears. Dylan Garand rounds out the net coming out of Hartford. John Leonard from Charlotte. Ali Lixel from Lehigh Valley. And then we got Brian Pinho out of the Bridgeport Islanders. And this is nothing against Brian Pinho. He's a fantastic player. He's very productive at this level and has been for a while. I don't believe that the Bridgeport Islanders deserve to send anyone to the All-Star Classic. Like, that team is just abysmal. Utica started off this season losing 12 straight games, and they have more points than the Bridgeport Islanders. Riddle me that. Why do they get to send someone to the All-Star game? Bridgeport's even played 3 more games than Utica.
I don't know. I don't like the everybody gets to participate thing. I think it sets a bad precedent. Like, I understand, like, the NHL, the way they do it is, like, everybody sends a representative to the All-Star game, and it's probably the captain of your team if you're, like, 32nd in the standings. It's going to be your captain because that's, like, the guy. I don't think that should be how it is. I don't think everybody should be represented because it's not. I think you can't just call it All-Star at that point. You're just calling it like
the really good game, the really good classic.
For the kids, we're gonna show you some gimmicky skills competitions and a round-robin tournament classic.
You could make an excuse, say, if somehow Bridgeport were to get the means to host this event, like, okay, gonna have the home fans in there. You can shoehorn in a player or two. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Pinot and Chris Terry if this was in Connecticut, but it's not, and it's on the other side of the country. If there is a dedicated Bridgeport Islander fan who makes it out to Coachella, then bless them for seeing Brian Pinot play hockey. But they're just bad, and they've been bad for years. And it feels like, everyone gets a trophy, and I get it. That's kind of the state that we're in as a whole, but I don't think that Bridgeport deserves that. Maybe give it to someone else. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think everybody needs to sit.
Not everyone needs to be. Sometimes you just don't deserve to be represented.
Like, the Barracuda could probably sit this one out. The Gulls could probably sit this one out.
Gulls probably sit this one out.
Silver
I
Knights?
feel like if you haven't made the playoffs for a couple years, you lose all-star privileges. Like I think that's just the rule. I don't write the rules, but if I did, that's what it would be.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of teams out west who benefit as being out west. But you should maybe take that little break that you get and I don't know, work on yourselves. So I don't have to be mean to you on this podcast.
But it's so much fun to be mean on this podcast.
No, but it's 2025, new year, new teams.
I disagree with that. It's the same season. These teams are still bad.
Calendar year, man. Everything changes in the calendar year.
Let's go up north and take a look at what they're sending over to Coachella Valley. Utica. I'll give him a pass on this one because Seamus Casey, as a rookie in this league, has really done some impressive stuff. So I'll allow that. You got me finger wagging at you, but I will allow this as his first All-Star appearance. We also got Jeremy Davies, shout out, former Wolf from Belleville. Luca Belluz, who needs no argument. He's only leading the league in points.
And scored an NHL goal tonight.
Did he? Congratulations, the man with 4 names. That is awesome. Good for him. Trey Fix-Wolansky. He's only got 3 names and 2 All-Star appearances. Only 2? I feel like Trey's been in the league for like 8 years. He's been an All-Star like every one. Now, he's been a Griffin killer, so maybe that's just beat bias, but
I think that's beat bias. He's also been kind of up and down on the rosters his entire career, so he doesn't really have like the body of work in the AHL because it's split over 2 leagues.
That's fair. You know what? I'll give that to him. He should have more, but congratulations on your second appearance in the game. You got Brandon Halverson from the Crunch and Devin Levi from the Rochester Americans, the division-leading Rochester Americans that fill out the nets. Yeah, Logan Mayu making his second appearance for the Laval Rocket. Denton Matejchuk from Cleveland as another rookie that's really impressing out over there on the lake. Isaac Rosen, another American. Joshua Waugh makes his first appearance in the games.
Wow, Luigi.
We're going to round it out with a couple of Marlies. Captain Logan Shaw with his third appearance and Alex Steves with his second. And I think that's a pretty star-studded lineup there coming out of the north. I don't know about you.
Like actual all-stars.
Right? No Bridgeport diluting this pool.
Right. You got, actual all-stars go into the all-star game. Of course, I'm a little biased, but somebody who was not in consideration because he's currently setting Montreal Canadiens franchise records in the NHL is Dobesh, who is the only Montreal Canadiens goaltender to ever only allow 1 goal through their first 2 starts.
Not Jacques Plante, not Ken Dryden, not Patrick Waugh, not Carey Price, Jakub Dobesh. That's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie, that's not too bad.
Yeah, we love that for him. I keep saying he's too good for the AHL. This is where we are. Called it. I told you last year. I don't see him in the AHL for much longer.
That's why we watch this league, man. It gives you an insight. It's like who you see all these future studs on these teams, and it's really no surprise when you look back 4 or 5 years ago and you see all the NHL All-Stars that got their start down here, and you're like, oh well, that makes sense. It's a lot of fun.
Who would have known that they would have become the All-Stars? It's like, wow. I feel like about that way back when.
Right. Do you want to see like years ago when I was like, dude, this guy's gonna be a stud? Like, yes, we saw that.
I've got some receipts. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little biased, but here comes my favorite division. That's the Central. I only got 2 teams in there, so no big deal. Starting off with out of Texas, we got Leon Bixel. I feel like there's a lot of really good rookie defensemen coming in and making their mark in this league this year, and I'm all for it because again, you're going to see Leon Bixel up in the Dallas Stars in maybe next year. And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, this kid's great. Where did he come from? And I'm going to be over here screaming like, he's been in Texas for 2 years. He's been awesome. Like, this is why we watch the games, folks. This is why you pay attention to these teams. Hey, you know who else is going to be a stud pretty soon? Sebastian Cossa. Tending the net in the division-leading Grand Rapids Griffins, getting his first appearance in the All-Star game. Vinny Hinostroza out of Milwaukee, just leading the Admirals in scoring. Justin Ritskowian, thank the Lord I pay attention to the broadcast, because if I just came and tried to pronounce that just phonetically, I would have been all over the place. So bless the broadcasters out there for getting the pronunciation right. We got Curtis McKenzie, who I actually have a bobblehead representation of. Now, he's going to be represented as a Texas Star, but he's wearing an old Chicago Wolves jersey here. This is actually my first bobblehead. AHL bobblehead, at least. Yeah. What a beauty. He's got an A on that jersey, but he's rocking the C, and he will be captaining the Western Conference All-Stars. So, good for Curtis. Scott Morrow coming out of the Wolves. Again, another rookie defenseman tearing it up. He just got his second hat trick of the season, which is kind of insane for a rookie blue liner. And he tops it off with an all-star appearance. So congratulations to him. Matt Murray. No, not that Matt Murray. The other Matt Murray. Goaltending out of Milwaukee makes his first appearance. Frank Nazar from the Rockford IceHawks. You got Liam Ogren from the Iowa Wild. And again, Iowa, you're towing a line there. Elias Salamanson from the Manitoba Moose. Ryan Suzuki. Now we're going to have a debate about this one, making his appearance for the Wolves. And Austin Watson. The man, he's on the roster. The man is there. He's gonna. I will get his jersey and show you that this exists.
That doesn't matter. Do you remember when the Buffalo Sabres drafted a player who didn't exist?
Yeah, but that was Buffalo. But even their players that actually exist don't really exist.
Interestingly, the player that didn't exist also Japanese.
Have you ever watched a Buffalo Sabres game?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think Buffalo Sabres games aren't real.
Okay.
There's no way they can blow multiple 3 and 4 goal leads against the Colorado Avalanche, and you tell me that this isn't legitimate. Like, I don't.
Okay, well, Ryan Suzuki can go play for them.
Maybe he will. Maybe I
see, and like, you're not even gonna be at this All-Star game to prove in fact that he is not just like photoshopped into every photo and video that has ever been taken out of this event. So I'm still not going to have empirical proof that this person exists.
AI isn't that good yet, D.
That you know of. AI from this planet's not that good. But if there's other planets out there, they've had billions of years to develop ahead of us. They could have way better AI than we do.
So are you saying that, like, Ryan Suzuki is the beginning to some plot for AI takeover?
Yeah. Ryan Suzuki is going to instigate the AI singularity, and it's actually going to be like an alien takeover of our planet. It starts innocuously with a hockey player that's good enough right now, because he's developing, allegedly, for professional hockey that people will see and will be like, oh, okay, well, I kind of recognize that name, but is not good enough to be like the next Connor McDavid. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be like on all the commercials. So people are just going to be like, Ryan Suzuki. Oh, okay, we don't have to worry about him. He's not real. And then boom, alien takeover.
I'm trying to fight for my poor man Zook here. He just keeps getting denied over and over.
Nobody has shown me any empirical proof.
I hope he wins like the MVP honors of this game, just to kind of like, that will hopefully materialize him into like, he's gonna go. That's gonna be his Pinocchio moment where he finally becomes a real boy.
No, but it could be fake because I'm not there to verify. It could totally be like look, they're going to be broadcasting it, right? It could be a pre-taped, completely edited segment, and nobody would ever know because we're not there to verify.
It's another reason why I wanted to be in Coachella, but that's beside the point. Anyway, those are your Central All-Stars. They're my favorites. I hope they're your favorites too. And now we head to the
Andrew.
Pacific Division. We're on the West Coast now. We're going to start off with one of the better goalies in the hockey world, Yaroslav Askarov. Second appearance. Well, no, yeah, he was there last year. Okay, second appearance. And but the first with the San Jose Barracuda after he got unceremoniously traded away over the offseason. Sam Colangelo from the San Diego Gulls. I'm going to kind of protest that one, but again, these aren't my rules, not my selections. Devin Cooley coming out of Calgary, his first nomination. Josh Doan, you want to talk about Nepo babies. Josh Doan out of Tucson gets his second appearance.
Carey Price's cousin.
That's his family relation. I was thinking more of his dad, but well.
Well, yeah, but yes, he's still technically Carey Price's cousin.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Samuel Fujimo with his first selection. I was honestly kind of very surprised about that, considering he couldn't stop scoring goals last year. I don't know if maybe he got called up to LA or what, but I'm kind of surprised to see that first selection. But he's going to be making it in for the Ontario Reign. Cale Fleury out of Coachella. First All-Star appearance. Good for him. Rory Cairns out of the Calgary Wranglers. He's been leading the scoring near the top of the standings, or the top of the goal scoring race the whole season. So good for Rory. Tanner Lazinski out of Henderson. That's another one I'm gonna throw into the everyone. Not everyone's an all-star just because you're the best team on the team with 15 points in the standings. Like, it's not my rules. It's not my rules. I'll just keep on going. Jacob McDonald making his second appearance out of Colorado. Elias Pettersson. No, he did not get traded yet. He's just the defenseman from Abbotsford, the other Elias Pettersson.
I hate that they do that. Like the same team has
The same team. That has to be a troll, right? Like we're just going to use a pick to just troll the entire hockey world. Fans, media, everyone is now going to be forever confused.
The two Sebastian Zaho.
But at least those were different teams. Carolina didn't draft the other one.
No, but like the two Sebastians Aho, and then they're in this same like conference. They played each other like multiple times. The jokes got old. I shouldn't have to know players' middle names. Is all I'm saying.
What joke has gotten older? Like the Sebastian Zaho being from different countries? Or did you know that Jeff Petrie's dad played baseball?
Did you know that Jeff Petrie?
Did you know?
Played professional baseball.
That's the first time I've heard that one.
It was especially he scored a goal, Jeff Petrie, for Montreal that he like batted out of the air.
Oh no!
And they spent like a 20-minute like tirade, not even a tirade, but they were just like, his dad would be so proud. Bet you didn't know.
His dad was a pitcher. Why would he be proud?
Listen, his dad played professional baseball for the Detroit Tigers. I think he scored that goal too, like in Detroit. So like his dad was like in the building or something, and it was like a whole thing. They showed the replay after like every TV timeout or every like whistle, every stoppage, for like 20 whole minutes. Did you know Jeff Petrie's baseball playing father would be so proud of this goal right now?
We need to showcase hockey personalities so much more. I cannot go through a 20-minute Jeff Petrie, Dan Petrie baseball analogy again. I would lose my mind.
To be fair, it's when Jeff Petrie was playing with Shea Weber, so he was like good. Do you remember when he was actually a good hockey player?
No, the Detroit days have tainted my memory of Jeff Petrie so hard. It doesn't
Once
even
upon a time, and I know it's incredibly hard to believe, but Jeff Petrie was like a top defenseman in the National Hockey League. He was on a pairing with Shea Weber, and they were absolutely lights out, cuckoo bananas. He got he busted all the blood vessels in his eyes, and he was just out there like murdering everybody with like the most bloodshot eyes you've ever seen in your life. Like Jeff Petrie used to be good at hockey.
That stretching out the use of the word good there, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it because we got to continue the rest of the Pacific, because I want to talk about Andrew Podorowski coming back to the All-Star Classic. The 1 year he was in Coachella, he got injured, and I missed out on seeing him in Laval. And he couldn't make it in Chicago because they didn't have an All-Star Classic because of COVID. God, remember that? That was weird. He didn't get named to it in his last year in Coachella, so this is his second appearance. And yeah, I'm glad to see Potts kind of reinvigorating himself and tearing it up in San Jose. Finally, we have Matthew Savoie from the Bakersfield Condors. And man, again, another top to bottom, just whole list of all-stars. Now, again, I will contest maybe Henderson and San Diego don't deserve to send anyone there. Like, there's nothing against Tanner Laczynski as a person. Not at all. This is not saying this isn't against him as a hockey player.
No, this is just, being the best player on a bad team doesn't make you the best player. I don't. My thing is while we're talking about the All-Star game, which is going to be held in California, the California area, right? Thoughts, prayers, sure, whatever, but search for every single city name on every single social media website that you have. There are multiple links of places that need your money, that need time, that need certain resources to provide relief for the residents of multiple areas of Southern California who are currently being ravaged by like 7 uncontrolled brush fires. Most people have lost homes. People have lost lives. They have lost pets. They've lost everything that they have. They no longer have a place to work. They no longer have cars. Southern California needs as much love and as much help as we can possibly give them, especially with the league's all-stars coming to the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's it's been an absolutely awful tragedy to see what's been going on in the Southern California region. So, Coachella is just a couple hours away from all that's going on, and if you have the means to reach out and help out, I'm hoping that people can kind of open their hearts up and do what they can. In times like these, where people are losing everything, the last thing that we have is each other. So I think that I agree. I double down on that sentiment and hope people can just do what they can, and just keep them in your thoughts, keep them in your prayers, and hopefully we can kind of band together and beat this. That being said, who is your early favorite to take home this classic? Who's got the stars? The stars of the stars.
The North. I might be a little biased, but not really. The North has the goaltending, I think. Like, the North has the goaltending. There's it's a really good balance. As much as we've talked about my personal issues with Mayo, he's an incredible defenseman. I think, as much as, I want to hate on the teams in the North that keep beating my beat team, it's such an incredibly balanced all-star lineup. Like we mentioned, that is the all-star lineup that is all stars. I think the North has it. They're due. The North is due. So I think they've got it. That All-Star lineup for the North keeps getting better every year, and I think this is it. They've gotten so close in the past couple of years, and I think this is it. This is their year. This is our year, North.
I'll put my bias aside and I agree with you. I like the star power it's in the North. I love Devin Levi and that even Brandon Halverson's having an incredible year out of Syracuse there. And it's just right where I can point to some other divisions and be like, maybe you shouldn't be here, but those are the rules, so you are. In the North, it's harder to argue that. Like I said, even Seamus Casey, out of the worst team in the North, is having an incredible year on the blue line, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think. I mean, they got the brand new arena out there in Coachella. The fans out there are crazy. This is going to be a wonderful event. I can't wait to cover it. Yeah, wish I was there, but what are you going to do?
I think the Pacific has the home field advantage. The Pacific has the firepower for sure, but I think on defense and goaltending alone, the North could neutralize that. It's a very mobile defense coming out of the North, which is just as we have seen when the Pacific teams go up against a really mobile defense who can keep up with the way they're skating, they have a challenge for the first times in their lives. And I think it's going to be a really fun round. I think it's going to be incredible.
It's a really interesting lineup decision as well on top of it. Most teams are only carrying 3 defensemen, but the North has 4. Mm-hmm. They got Casey Davies, Mayu, and Matejchuk, but we'll see if that impacts anything during the game. I'm interested.
You get fresh legs. You get one set of legs.
Maybe they'll roll 2 defensemen out at once out there. We'll see. It's always going to be all fun.
You'll get one set of legs that's fresh on every shift versus somebody who's still trying to catch up from the last shift. So, I think it'll be fun. I think this is probably going to be one of the more interesting round robins that we get from the All-Star game. I think this is going to be we're going to actually get to watch what the AHL All-Star tournament used to be like. The NHL, sorry. Did I say NHL? I don't even remember. The NHL, when they were having fun with it, when they were actually playing fun hockey and it wasn't just mostly skills competition. I think it'll be fun. Back when Brad Marchand was breaking into the league. The All-Stars were fun. And I think we're going to get something like that where it's actual hockey versus just okay, skate around real slow. We've got a whole bunch of people who from every single division that don't like to lose. And I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a new dynamic out there in Coachella. And just having just the last 2 years that the Firebirds have had, going to the Calder Cup both seasons, really kind of entrenching themselves in that fan base, and I think they're going to really show out for this event, and it's gonna send some sparks across the league. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a nice break too. For, the teams that are playing in freezing temperatures right now.
Yeah,
they're gonna be relaxed, and that's gonna be nice.
Absolutely.
If nothing else, they will go to the spa.
Or the golf course.
They've got multiple options out there.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the weekend ahead. Well, it's the whole week ahead. I got games in all sorts of days for us to look at. Of course, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going to be the busiest, but I got a wild card in there. But first, we're going to take a look at the key matchups that we got coming up. Starting with Friday's game, we got Texas going into Milwaukee. Now, Grand Rapids is pretty entrenched up there in that number 1 spot in the Central, but we got a pretty solid dogfight there for second with Texas in there right now, but Milwaukee not too far behind. Chicago kind of nipping at their heels there on the 4th spot. Texas has plays this run and gun style. They have the most goals for, but also the most goals against So there's always going to be some fireworks, and I wonder if Milwaukee kind of wants to like slow it down and kind of try and dictate the pace of this game on home ice as opposed to just kind of letting it run and gun all over the place. But we'll see. Matthew Murray just got named the All-Star game. Can he shut down the Stars?
Well, I guess we'll see.
That's right. He will.
No, yeah, I think there's always the opportunity too, especially with Texas playing that kind of just like throw it all out there, see what sticks kind of style of hockey. All it takes is one pebble on the track to derail the entire train. And it's if you can figure out that one thing to make them kind of slip up, lose a little bit of confidence and slow down their game, you've got it. Now, pretty please, I'm begging you, don't play the trap. That's not going to get you any success. They will just skate around you. But if you can trip them up, if you can put that tiny little like the stick into the bicycle spoke, if you can just kind of stop the wheels from turning a little bit, you got it. You can shut them down because they are still playing a really chaotic brand of hockey.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's the two styles kind of come together. We'll see which one comes out on top. And then as we head on Friday and Saturday, we're gonna head out west. We got Calgary that's going into Colorado. I know the Eagles are kind of wouldn't call it your second team, but I know they got a special place in your heart over there as kind of the farm team for the Avalanche. I know they're a little lower in the Pacific standings, but I think when you get the point percentage out there, they're a better team than where they currently are at. But you got the number one team in the division coming into town, so it's kind of I wouldn't say put up or shut up, but it's going to be a test. There's never an easy game against Calgary.
No, it is a matter of pride for sure. We've talked basically every time we've talked about the Eagles, we've talked about Colorado Avalanche, the Denver team, kind of struggling with the injuries this season. And, they traded both of their goaltenders for Wedgwood and Blackwood. And now half of the lumberyard is injured. So they had to, guess what? We got to find a goalie somewhere. So let's just yoink a goalie. You've got players up and down trying to fill spots for injured forwards. Drouin is back, which is good news. That means we can get a forward back down to, the Eagles, all that kind of stuff. But it has been such a bumpy, like rocky road for the Avalanche this season that it's kind of trickling down into the Eagles just based on the kind of uncertainty and all that kind of fun stuff that you've got going on. The Avs needed to make some trades. They had to trade away some prospects to do that. They had to trade away some Eagles players to get players in, and it's been like that for the past couple of seasons, just trying to tweak everything, especially with Landeskog being still out. So there's a lot of pressure on Eagles players to perform. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing going into this like early winter stretch, is that pressure is catching up to the Eagles. They're already struggling with like roster stuff because of the Avalanche. But they have it. They can win. They can definitely take on a high-flying team like Calgary. They just, once again, they've got to slow them down.
Mm-hmm.
But the Eagles have it. Now, the only thing is that, goaltending is a little bonkers right now, just because, like I said, half of the lumberyard is injured. But the Eagles can definitely do it. They need to get, I say this so often because, like, goodness gracious, what wins you hockey games? Go back to the basics. They need to simplify the game, not try to look cute, not try to like earn the position of being the next man up whenever they need another forward or another defenseman or what have you. They need to just play Colorado Eagles hockey, which is like this insane blend of like West Coast high hitting, high flying, speedy hockey with the East Coast like skill. And they absolutely have that. It's absolutely evident. They're just getting in their heads too much, I think. I think the Colorado Eagles have to defeat themselves and the Calgary uh just it's a double-edged sword. They've got to win the mental game before they can win the hockey game, I think.
Yeah, I think the Eagles were hoping that they would be able to rely on Trent Miner for more than just a handful of games,
Yeah,
and
and that didn't work out. Yeah, Miner got lit up. Poor guy.
yeah,
But he looked so good. He did so good. Very proud of Miner. But yeah, I think they were expecting to be able to have him a little bit longer so they could kind of gel in front of him. And like I said, it's like blow after blow after blow to the Eagles this year, and they're doing well despite like I think they're doing way better than expected with all of the roster changes. And like I know if you don't pay attention to like call ups and the Avalanche because they're in the West, they have a tendency like things like that have a tendency to get buried and kind of go unnoticed and like not talked about. But it's been a constant flow of every Avalanche game. There's players sitting back down, brought back up. So like you don't know where you're playing, you don't know if you're playing. It's just a lot. They've got to win the mental game before they can win the hockey game.
we'll see if they can catch Calgary with looking ahead in their schedule. I mean, the Wranglers are only 5-5 over their last 10 games. So if they're not careful, Colorado can definitely pick up 2, 3, maybe even 4 points. We'll see. But it all starts on Friday night.
Sure.
And then we're gonna stick with the Friday Saturday theme. You know me, I like my interdivision matchups. Conference. We got Laval going all the way to California to go on take on Ontario. Now, I mean, Ontario is kind of dangerously near some of that disaster stuff that's going on. So, we're gonna kind of keep this one as
I think it's a game time decision. I know the Kings canceled their game the other day. I know multiple things have just been canceled, as they totally should. This one, yeah, I think this one may be rescheduled out of an abundance of caution. I think there's a high chance that it's rescheduled out of an abundance of caution, just because we're getting into, as of recording, we're on day fully 3 of uncontrolled brush fires. I know the Palisades fire still has like 0% control, and it's up to like 50,000 acres like the last time I checked. Like it's unchecked. There's nothing they can do. They can't fight this fire. Best they can hope for is to direct it to the water and let it burn itself out. So yeah, I think Ontario, California is it's basically LA. It's a suburb. It's basically LA. I think out of an abundance of caution, especially with air quality, especially with planes being able to fly into the airspace, because if a plane flies into that airspace, they have to stop firefighting aircraft. I think there's a high probability that we see tomorrow that the game has been rescheduled.
Yeah.
That any of Ontario's games have been rescheduled. There's a really high chance, just out of an abundance of caution, because this is incredibly unpredictable. These are like the worst recorded Santa Ana winds in modern history. These are extremely dry conditions. They've had like 0 water fall out of the sky in Southern California, and they are coming right up on like 2 of the wettest winters in California history. So there's an incredible amount of vegetation mixed with 80-mile-per-hour winds. And I think just it's going to be a fun game whenever they play it. I hope that they can get the fires under control so they can play it this weekend. But Yeah, I think there's a really high chance that it gets canceled out of an abundance of caution.
Yeah, considering the situation on the ground, and I just checked and I realized yesterday's game with the Kings was postponed, so we'll probably see this Iowa Ontario series postponed as well. So it's unfortunate, but right, we want the fans and the players and the staff and everyone to stay safe, considering all things considered, and there's bigger things going on in hockey right now, and I think we're perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I think they can rearrange a few other schedules.
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Um,
We might get some 3-3s out of it, which is fun.
yeah, hey. There's some Monday night, Tuesday night AHL hockey action.
Give me some 3-3. Give me
Mhm.
Monday through Wednesday. Like
Wow, what a curveball that would be.
that would be fun.
Friday and Saturday, we got Hershey against the Charlotte Checkers going into Charlotte. Now, I don't want to say that Hershey doesn't belong at the top of the standings, because I know it's going to bite me. And considering the last two seasons, like, this might just be me sick of seeing Hershey up there. But when it comes to point percentages, Charlotte and Wilkes-Barre kind of should be up there, just because Hershey's had the good fortune of playing more games and building up more points. Okay, yeah, the Bears are first, but this is a chance for Charlotte to be like, hey, we want that top spot. Yoink. And, you get a couple of points out of big weekend homestand against the top dog, defending champs. Let's see it, Checkers. Let's see what you're made of.
See, and that's what's okay. Sorry, that's not exactly what's so bonkers to me. But one thing that I think what I want from the AHL is a little bit more standardization. I know that we love the AHL for the chaos, but there are some things that should be a little bit more standardized, like the number of games played. All right, you could definitely a team could 100% schedule more games to give themselves a points advantage.
Well, everyone plays the same amount of games at the end of the day.
Not right, but you can choose your the teams you play and
Yeah. I wish it was a little more regular, but they're never gonna do that because traveling's expensive.
it is, and I get it, but
Yeah, you're about to go to Montreal. You know how expensive it is.
I paid $600 for a round trip.
Ugh. 600 to go to Montreal?
Yeah.
It cost me like $650 to go to Peru.
Okay, that's Peru.
Yeah, that's like 9 times longer than the distance that you're going.
Okay.
A continent.
Yeah. But that was like 600 all in. Like taxes, Canada has higher taxes. You have to pay taxes at your destination price.
I don't know what the tax situation in Peru is like.
No, I'm flying Air Canada. So because they had the nonstop, so it's like I'm gonna pay a little bit more because it's Air Canada, and apparently they're worried about their carbon footprint or something. I don't know. Taylor Swift could never. But anyway, no, but there needs to be less control, I think, over the scheduling, because you could just schedule yourself to play I was gonna call them the Sound Tigers, the Islanders a billion times and pad your points percentage.
I keep saying, if Chicago could play Milwaukee and Rockford 36 times a year, they totally would.
Yeah,
totally would. But
you plays different I don't know. It's there's different numbers of games played because it's based on division, whatever. Just play every team in the league at least one time, just at one time in each barn, the way every other sports team in the world does it. You play every team in the league at least once. Anyway, no, yeah, I don't look. Hershey needs to be humbled, is all I'm saying. And the amount of control these teams have over their scheduling, I think, definitely works in Hershey's favor. because they know which teams they can kind of intimidate, being the reigning champions or the Hershey Bears or this perceived unstoppable force within the American Hockey League. And I think if it was a little bit more standardized, I think we'd have a little bit more parity, and I think you would have less. I don't know. You'd have more variation. You'd have, like in the NHL, where teams are just changing playoff positions just throughout the year, and maybe your favorite NHL team goes from 29th in the league to in a wild card spot. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
All you need is a new coach. Let's yeah, no, I mean I'm all on board with that. I just can't afford to just travel more for the teams. Yeah, let's see what else we got going on. Friday and Sunday. Got another second place battle here. Laval's going into Cleveland, who, I mean, things change, as every hour on the hour in the AHL. But right now, the Monsters are kind of shorthanded. They got the leading scorer in the league, Luca Belluz, with his first career goal tonight for the Blue Jackets, not for the Monsters. Also up there is, Denton Matejchuk and Owen Sillinger. So, that's three of the top five scorers from the Monsters not on the roster. It's a great chance for Laval to kind of take that second spot away from him. Yes.
Yes. Am I supposed to argue that? No. Yes.
I got another interdivisional matchup here. We got Chicago going into Coachella Valley this weekend for a nice little Saturday, Sunday matchup with the Firebirds. This Chicago team has been playing super well as of the last couple of months. They went from bottom of the division to they're kind of threatening for that third and second spot. And then you have Bradley Nadeau, Felix Unger-Sorum that have returned from the World Junior Championships. Hopefully, that heartbreaking loss for Canada kind of lights a fire under Nadeau, and he starts to really tearing it up. I mean, he's already been playing super well for the Wolves. Second, I believe he's second in points scored for players 20 and under. So, go off, kid, and keep it going. And, I'd love to see Unger-Sorum kind of keep his momentum rolling. His whole team has been really turning it up lately. And you got Coachella on the other side, who they got that all-star game that they're looking forward to, but you got to play the games ahead of you first. So really excited to see what the Wolves do, their first ever matchup with the Coachella Valley Firebirds.
I love first ever matchups. It's one of those things where it's all I know about you, I studied on tape. And it never goes the way anybody thinks it's going to go. It's always some weird surprise this didn't work, or surprise what was I watching just now, because that was not how I expected them to kind of come out of the gate and go up against each other kind of thing. I love when teams have never played against each other, because it's so much fun to watch them figure each other out in real time, because all they know is the theoretical application of how they play hockey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm real excited to see Max Lajoie reuniting with Ryan Suzuki, or the artist who might be Ryan Suzuki. Allegedly Ryan Suzuki. A couple of guys from that 22 Calder Cup team. It's good to have Lajoie back in town. He was, just an absolute anchor on that blue line for a couple of years, former captain of the Wolves. I'm really excited to see him come back to Chicago later on in the season, but that's not till April. So we'll keep that one in the back pocket. Keeping on, here's my wild card matchup. We got a Wednesday night game. Wilkes-Barre Scranton is going into Laval. we're gonna double dip with the Laval Rocket here, but
Yeah, they've got a busy week. It's okay.
yeah, and with a team like Wilkes-Barre coming in again, they're below Hershey in the official standings, but higher up than them in the points percentage column. And on the road in a hostile environment in Laval, this is always going to be the mark of, how you respond to that. It's you're not playing in Bridgeport on a Wednesday night. You're going into a extremely hostile environment.
Territory, yeah.
Yeah.
That was always such a great test of a team's result. Just because Laval fans are Habs fans, and Habs fans are obsessed with their team. Like it's a whole other just connection, just like possessiveness of the team. It is great fans. I've heard so few things of people complaining about their interaction with Habs or Rocket fans or literally any of the billions of farm teams that the Montreal Canadiens have had in their life. Nobody's really had like bad things to say. Welcoming environment. Fans were so much fun to hang out with. They were so much fun to be like mixed up with in the stands. But the players, find me one player who has not said at either league who has not said that coming into Montreal or Laval is so intimidating because it is a loud barn. It is a tough barn to play in. The fans know hockey. You do not have casual hockey fans in Montreal or its suburbs, Laval. The casual hockey fan still knows the history of their team. They know the history of that league. They know every single thing about every single one of these players. They just maybe watch one game every 2 weeks, like casual means something different in Quebec than it does in the rest of the world. And I love when I love seeing new teams, like when teams come in and just like have to deal with that. And especially good teams, watching them have to adjust on the fly to the environment it's such good hockey because it's like the technical side of hockey.
Yeah, Laval's got 11-4-2 record on home ice. So if you don't think home ice advantage means anything, then you need to go up to Laval and catch a game with some of those deafening chanting and raucous Habs Rocket fan that pack those stands
that are speaking French at you.
Yes. Whether you understand it or not, they will be yelling in French at you.
Yeah.
And
my first taste of live professional hockey in Quebec on the 28th against the Winnipeg Jets, which means I get to boo Mark Scheifele, and I have never been more excited for something in my life.
What did Mark Scheifele ever do to you?
Tried to kill Jake Evans.
Okay, I'll give you that. What? That was like 6 years ago. Let it go.
The kid had already had a couple of concussions. He was like knocked out on the ice. There was no reason. That was a really bad hit. There was no reason. It was an empty net goal. Your team was already losing. There was no reason to headhunt and take the kid out. Nikolai Ehlers is like the only Winnipeg Jet that has any rights, if you ask me.
Rights?
He's the only one allowed to do anything, and that's simply because he did try to protect Evans from the scrum that obviously happened. Anyway, we hate Mark Scheifele. Boo Mark Scheifele. Boo this man.
That's mean. This is a mean podcast.
I know, we really went from chaos to
right. No, this is just Mean Girls the Hockey Podcast.
I love that. That's the episode title.
Well, there we go. So we've got our episode. And again, we always get our episode in the last like 15 seconds of the show. This is the end of the show. So that makes sense. Anyway, y'all, thanks for joining us for another week of Taps. And I was just, it's been going by. We're already just about halfway done with this season. second half coming up here pretty soon. It's going to be even more chaos, action-packed, and we're going to be bringing with you every week. I'm Andrew.
I'm Dee.
We'll see you all next week.